we have you're officially on the hot minute or the 15-minute hot seat where you can ask me three questions or less in under 15 minutes.
Okay.
This will benefit somebody else in their community or free call here, but I'm already 3 minutes in, so I am in debt. I want to roll right into it. I would love to catch up, but I want to make sure that you have the time that you deserve. So, Imani, welcome. And what's going on? How can I assist you today?
Yes. How can we prove to FEMA or,
Uh-huh.
or ALE or CSR that we are acting on behalf of the owner of the property? And what documents would they need from us? Uh, uh, or would they?
Okay, got it. So I'm assuming this question is coming from where you submitted something, or maybe you're thinking of submitting something, and then they're asking for maybe where does this question come from? And did they
Documents?
ask for some proof of ownership or something like that?
Yes, proof of ownership. Yes. And how do we prove? Do we provide a deed or would they like a deed or something
Oh,
indicating?
so sometimes they'll usually actually let you know what it is, but in the past, there's been utilities,
Mhm.
you know, but I guess if just so I have some context, because I want to make sure I'm answering the question accurately, Imani, is it a situation where they're asking you as the homeowner, or is it a situation where you're arbitraging perhaps or co-hosting and they're asking and now you're like, oh, like if I send them that, it's not going to be me, but how do I show that I'm tied to this and I have control? So you let me know which one it is.
Yeah, it's the latter. I'm acting in an arbitrage
Mm-hmm.
position. And
Yeah.
so I'm a third party here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And what did they ask for specifically?
uh actually they asked my partner. They didn't ask me. They asked
Sure.
my partner. And I told them that we would be together, and I would have the opportunity to ask, to pose the
Yeah.
question to you.
Sure.
So
Can you tell me exactly what they asked for? Because based on that, I could probably tell you.
basically, he said, how can we prove to FEMA uh, that we're acting on behalf of the owner of the
But
property?
oh, sorry. So my question is though, what is FEMA asking on their documents? Do you
Uh,
happen to know?
that I don't know because I haven't seen the paperwork that FEMA
Okay.
disperse. And I was also wondering, do you have any of the applications or links or anything like that that FEMA is submitting or sending out for people who want to, work with them, and provide properties? Um, and do you know if ALE, do they require any kind of deed or any kind of proof
Yeah. Sure.
at all?
Okay. Let me answer all those. So, typically ALE, and again, things could change. So as I'm saying this, they don't require proof. I've also had, I can tell you, I've had can't remember which company it was exactly. This has only happened once. And mind you, we've co-hosted, we've arbitrage deals, we've managed deals, we've done some of our own. And when I say deals, we've done the midterm model where they
Okay.
just pay me the LLC, even if it's not my own property, and they've never asked me for anything. Only once, which I believe it was possibly CRS, which they didn't do it every time. It was very inconsistent. I remember posting in our mastermind, I'm like, looks like they're starting to ask for things now. But here's what it is, right? If they're asking for ownership, and that is going to make or break the deal, then I would be very clear on providing whoever is a utility bill, could be a statement, whatever they tell you. That's what I'm asking. If they actually asked for a specific document, let them know. Now, if you're saying, "Hey, I'm a third party, I'm a management," and I have this contract agreement. It could be a one pager that you have with the homeowner that indicates that you're managing any payments, anything lease related, anything of that nature goes through you and you have the homeowner's signature. That could also
Mhm.
suffice as a way to say, hey, by the way, and it's better that it's not a name that's an LLC. That way you have the homeowner's name allows this LLC to handle all management, leasing, etc. And you could draft that out so that if you're ever in that situation, you say, hey, listen, per our agreement, you know what our agreement is. But in addition to that, I'm going to send you an exhibit for me to be able to facilitate this transaction on your behalf. I have all the connections. I'll handle all the extensions. I'll handle X, Y, Z. And what I wanted to do is just, in order for them to release the funds that I can pay you, etc., I'll need you to sign this one sheeter. That's it. So if you have this one sheeter, I don't have one personally that I could share by any means, but it could be as very straightforward as um, indicating what services you are doing on behalf of the homeowner and any communication around contracts, negotiations, payments, etc., are to be run through your business entity. That way, when you submit that, it'll show the owner's name, it'll show the LLC, and then it'll have the account that they can pay to, and that should suffice. Otherwise, um, if they are asking for additional information, then yeah, you can provide the deed. Yeah, you can provide a utility bill and then provide the exhibit that shows, you know, by the way, this is the homeowner and this is the managing entity. What else do you need, right? Like it's never gotten to that point. But if you really wanted to be super bulletproof, that should answer your question. Now, do you have any questions there, or can I answer your second question?
No, no, that gives me a lot of information. I
Yeah.
think I can, kind of figure it out from your answer.
Okay. And you had
Yeah,
FEMA,
if
right? Mhm, go ahead.
FEMA, yeah, FEMA, yeah, do they still have a need in as far as the hurricanes and all of that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So those are great organizations to get aligned with. I don't personally have the process. I think that would be something that you can certainly educate yourself on. There's gonna be tons of information. I know I think Noble Crawford maybe does this. I know he does government contracts. But yeah, FEMA, all those organizations, whatever steps required, I would do a search. I don't personally have experience enrolling
Okay,
with them, but I think
okay,
it is a good idea
mm,
because FEMA steps in when people don't have insurance. So it's going to be
okay,
a very similar budget. You're going to see people coming from all over the country, from even the LA fires, trying to relocate for the next 6 months, even outside of state. So it's actually a great initiative. You're ahead of the ball game. We've been focusing on what we do
mhm,
best, but I certainly think when you think of opportunities working with government, being enrolled, there's going to be certainly a process for sure.
mhm.
Which is good, barriers of entry. But there's definitely an advantage there to continue to, house these individuals in need of home. So I would encourage you to learn that process, and then guess what? Come share it with me,
Oh
so I
yeah,
can know as
well,
well.
that's a whole nother hurdle. I just thought maybe off the top of your head you had some information about it. I'm
No, I would
not,
look it up. Yeah,
yeah, I'm not
very
really,
niche.
yeah, it's very niche, and I'm not in a position to do that right now. But
Yeah,
the main question that I had though was working with corporate housing by owner.
fire owner. Mhm.
There seems to be for the arbitrage model a housing specialist already on board that is in between me and the homeowner. Now, how does that work? How would the funds be distributed? Would the housing specialist also be entitled to some of the proceeds? Uh, uh,
From corporate housing by owner, you're saying?
uh-huh. If instead of doing furnish finder is limited as far as their inventory,
Hmm.
and then the
I'm
quality,
familiar. I'm
yeah,
familiar with corporate housing by owner. I want to be mindful because we only have 3 minutes left. I'm familiar with corporate housing by owner. Are you saying that a relocation specialist reached out to you that's from corporate housing by owner, or they reached out to you on that platform?
on that platform. I reached out to them
Mhm.
looking for rental property, and I needed the address because without the address, I can't
Sure,
really
sure.
communicate. And
Yep.
she stepped in and said, "Well, here's the address, but I can take you from rent to lease," meaning yeah, I'm thinking she's going to be also in this picture as well, as far as the proceeds. I'm not sure what has your experience, but you haven't been doing arbitrage though
Well,
with,
I've done arbitrage, but on
with,
Furnish Finder. So I just want to be clear who it is that you're speaking to. Are you speaking
oh,
to a homeowner? Homeowner?
no, Not yet. I haven't spoken to the homeowner yet. I've
You're
only
speaking.
spoken with the corporate housing by owner representative.
Okay, so I would get clarity because I don't have full context. So it's to say, hey, full transparency. I want to just make sure, are you representing the owner in this? Are you, I'm not a realtor, just say that. So I
Mhm.
just want to make sure you're paid for your time. Is that something that is agreed between you and the owner? I just want to make sure I'm clear before I engage with this transaction because now you're clear. Are they acting on behalf? Is the owner gonna pay them? Like get put it that way. Be like, hey, like I'm not a realtor, therefore I'm asking these questions just because I want to make sure you're well compensated for your time. And thank you so much for getting back to me so quickly. But that's one of the things I want to address to assure you're taken care of, right? Because I was like, oh
Okay.
no, that's really nice. Like you're thinking about me. I'm not just being used in this. And then I would look. The best thing I would say in any business is always set expectations. If we don't ask the questions and then comes the time, be like, hey, like Imani, I was never taken care of for that, and you didn't ask the question. Now everyone's like leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth, right? Now it's awkward for you, it's awkward for them. But if you say, hey, listen, before we move forward, I've told you my, the rate, and and look, I like to ask these questions, like lowest hanging fruit questions when the uh, opportunity presents itself, rather just to give you how I'm thinking, rather than trying to say, if this happens, what will I do then, etc. I think it's always best to think about like, what is the next course of action, and what is the next question I should be asking with respect to the action that's in front of me, because into a phase of like, well, what happens if this happens and this happens and that happens and that happens? Well, when we get there, let's figure it out. Now, I'm not saying don't be proactive, but I definitely want you to say, ask the next best question. If you have a deal or if it's a potential opportunity, get that information. Because the truth is, you might get an opportunity, or but you might not even get that far. So you asking all these questions now ahead of time before the opportunity presents itself might not be best, but it's still good for you to know. I'm not taking that away. So, but definitely think of critical path. Okay, if this is on the path and this is in the next step, here's the next question that I need to ask. And then when we get around the corner, we'll get there. And that's the advice that I always give all my mastermind members, because sometimes, I had a mastermind member who just closed on a contract was asking me questions about the contract before they had scheduled the walkthrough. I'm like, whoa, 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 cool it. Let's figure out the walkthrough logistics first. You might not even make it that far, that when you get there again, you'll probably have to revisit what you need to say in the proposal again. So let's just focus on getting the client to walk through the property, step one. Then when we get there, we'll revisit the contract terms rather than saying, if I get a contract, who should name my, like, I just don't want you to get too ahead of the process, because part of the business is honestly just figuring it out as you go, being well prepared, of course, but still like as things come up, okay, great, what's the next thing I should do? So I hope that helps, because there's a lot of nuances and every deal is different, that it's more of like thinking of like, who, what is the next best question I should be asking, or who is the next person I should reach out to? Maybe a realtor, maybe a showing agent, maybe my cleaner, like thinking about those things along the way during the journey. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And
Yeah.
just one quick, what's the payment? What payment process is best? Do you use Stripe?
I use Stripe.
Use Stripe, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's for
You can,
deposits
yeah, you
and
can even
payments?
deposits, payments, but now I do ACH direct wire when I'm working with a B2B. But if it's someone I've never worked with before, I love
Okay,
Relay Financial, because I can issue them. They can pay me directly. They can submit their ACH information. So I would do relayfi.com. That's what it's called, relayfi.com.
okay.
Right,
Okay.
Imani?
Thank you, Ruben.
Amani, this
Yeah.
was super. We got through it. I feel like I was just like, okay, value, value, value.
I
Make sure
know.
I just dropped it in the chat. Grab it right now before I end the call.
Okay.
Relayfi.com. We love that. That's how we also issue payments. Plus there's less fees. Better
Mhm.
than Stripe, as I would say. Okay. You got that?
Okay. Got it. Well, let me get it here.
Click it. Meeting group chat.
Got it.
Woo! Awesome.
Got it.
Got my next
Thank you.
one. I got a full
Okay.
office hour today. So cheers.